So it takes a while for the good things in your life to manifest. One of the instances I do like to bring up is when you're a kid, you don't realize that you have many amazing things that will uh, manifest in your life. Like when you're like 2 years old, you don't think about going to the beach and enjoying the sunset and the nice calm waves of the ocean, or maybe even going all the way atop a skyscraper and looking into the distance and being swept away by the huge gust that might occur, or maybe even just traversing safely through some of the harshest terrain to get some of the coolest sights. However, you also don't think too much when it comes to family, what it's like to be a father or what it's like to be a mother. So, most of the time, when we are young, we won't think like we would if we were adults. So, if I'm saying anything, it is to say that our needs or desires or our bucket list, yeah, I guess that's a way of saying it. Our bucket list changes. Things that we want to do, things that we feel like we really need in our lives, uh, or our desires or demands in life, they change. Sometimes because of extreme measures, sometimes it's just because we lose interest, or sometimes it's just time in general. Things change. The way we talk changes things. It's weird. But here's the thing. For those dads of us out there, and I do apologize for one in particular, really, because uh, I mean, we're not perfect, so the way we react to one another is not going to ever be what we would prefer. Let's face it, we've never really been on solid ground. We've never, with each other, we've never been. Our feet has never been where we really wanted our feet to be in terms with one another. So, which internally makes us feel like if the other member of this conversation, if they just simply see things the way I see them, vice versa, uh, then matters would just be so much better. But your life, my life, they're different. Variables are different. People treat us differently. So, because every variable in our lives be so different, then we're going to end up having different reactions. Like, I don't have the same PTSD or trauma, so how am I supposed to know how to better react or help other people like yourself better react, right? In terms of being a father, I have to bring up Jesus. Now, Jesus was not a father, but he was a father. He was a leader to his 12 disciples. And the more you realize his traversities and adversities with the Pharisees and Sadducees, and his missions that he went on involving even the cursed pigs. Well, I mean, actually, he cursed the pigs. It was really a person that was cursed. Um, the more you pay attention to how he dealt with situations, I feel like that would be the better route to go. What does it mean to be a father? The only thing that really answers that question is how you lead those around you. Because we have our fleshly desires in our life, we would think that leading other people to be better than ourselves would be a great thing. True, always tell people how to be better than yourself. That's great. But pride in oneself gets in the way, and we feel like if people would just simply see it our way, they would see that they could be better as long as they do things the way we did it. They'd find a way to do it better. I feel that if we learn how to properly communicate, then we would understand better how to teach, or how to lead, or how to learn. The easiest way to be a good father to your children, or even a brother to your siblings, or likewise, is when you lead people around you. You're supposed to be inspirational. You're supposed to be helping them realize that things could be better by being the picture that leads them, that inspires them. I mean, if you're not very delightful to look upon when it comes to how you handle situations, I mean, if you spend most of your time insulting other people because they don't see things the way you do, or they're not behaving as quickly as you would prefer them to, or they don't think the way you do, inadvertently you'll just spend most of your time insulting them, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. You're just like, I'm sick and tired of that person. It just gets out of control. And when somebody finally throws a fit, you're like, I don't understand why you're throwing a fit. I'm just going to leave, or take it personally, and I'll handle it personally. So things are just, it's a spiral effect. But there's always variables that happen over time. With Jesus, however, when he was with his disciples, he'd often tell them the answer or a solution to a problem before the problem actually truly ever existed. Strangely enough, he taught his disciples a good measure of solutions to problems before they occurred, not in how we would have envisioned it. As a leader, you teach on the spot, because that way your people will see everything in action while you're trying to teach. But with Jesus, everything was more like preparation. Because why not be trained really well before a situation, instead of not being trained and everybody else has to pick up the slack while you're learning? So there is a time and place for everything. But when it comes to things that are super sensitive, being a father is preparing your children before the situation occurs, not a business where you're trying to train them on the spot, where you're agitated because you're trying to pick up the slack of everybody because they're not getting it right away, and they're not seeing it how you see it, and thus it just creates tension that's just not necessary. You know what I'm saying? So what it means to be a father is to be a leader and inspiration to doing what is right, to embedding or imbuing the understanding from what is right and from what is wrong before a situation occurs, rather than to do it during or after. And I feel like Jesus embodied that very well. The only times that you would suggest otherwise, and it's really the variables that are beyond himself in the stories provided, is like that with where the Pharisees and Sadducees tossed the adulteress at his feet. Now, as a leader, you shouldn't be making scenes. You should never make a scene. You should never make anything harder than it needs to be. You should never make anything insulting or drive uncertainty or destabilize a situation. They stirred the people. They did everything they could to insult Jesus, and they called themselves leaders and children of God. That is the worst face a Christian could possibly have as somebody who's trying to inspire people to understand who God really is. Now, before we get too far into that, there's another thing that bothers me. Our perception of who God is needs to be more defined. God is not, Jesus is not, okay, this is going to sound really stupid, so bear with me, okay? Don't flip your panties off just because you hear something and you don't let me explain. There is no such thing as God. It is a title. It is not a name. So God, like Jehovah or Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or Yahweh or Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God, but He is God. And there is the Spirit of God. So 3, right? God is not God. It's a title, and it's a position. But that doesn't mean that it's a person. What I'm trying to say is a title does not dictate the reality of something. It is just simply a title. So and that is what makes the statement, or command rather, in the Ten Commandments more real and understandable. Do not have any other gods before me. So, if we take God as a title, that makes more sense. Because He even claims that currency can become a god. Your desires and plans in life can become a god. It's a title. What that title means is what is most important to you. Flat out, what controls you, what bits you, what drives you, what is beyond all other things. What is most important to you. So if something becomes more important to you than Jesus or Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Jehovah, or the Spirit of God, so that's 3. I don't necessarily know what the Spirit of God's name would be, but we do know that God the Father's name is Jehovah, or Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or Yahweh. But Jesus is the earth-given name to the Son of God. So when I say Jesus, that's why. When I say Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, not from any translation or type of people or religion, I just refer to that's the Father. Anyway, back to what I was trying to get at. God is a title. So when the Pharisees and Sadducees are trying to insult Jesus, they're trying to suggest that, no, Jesus, you're not God, and you're definitely not the one that makes the rules. So we're going to try our best to insult you. And you're going to find a way to prove us wrong, because you are God. But we're going to do our best to insult you and belittle you and everything else, because we want to maintain that power. Because they had a selfish desire for power. And as long as they were the ones making the rules, because they were the ones changing it, they had an envy issue. Not a lot of issues too, really, but as a father, you should never be envious. You should never be covetous or anything like that. So they faltered in so many areas of of the Ten Commandments. They didn't care. But Jesus did. So much so that when he was faced with that level of insult and adversity and traversy and stupidity, he kept his calm. He dealt with the situation and he neutralized it. He turned the cruddiest situation into we all walk away to see another day. And hopefully you understand your stupidity and you change. He didn't insult. He never judged. He never turned an eye of judgment of any sort. His mouth never spoke judgment. He just simply said, hey, look, if you have no sin, you can throw a stone. I mean, so much as long as we have our own problems to deal with, then we really should just look inward and suggest to ourselves we are in no better position to lay judgment than the people that do it to us. I don't know. And I'll be right back. There are people that have partaken in war and have come back not themselves anymore. They claim they can't really return or to be themselves. But I feel like in ourselves, we feel that once we have these memories or once we have these scars in us, we can't produce a new line of code, as it were, to become better in any way. When there is constant change in our lives, we are made very uncomfortable. If I were to suggest that war is any different on a battlefield than it is in a family house, I would be a moron, because there's really no difference. The only real difference, to be entirely honest, is an assumption that there is no tools of war. But the greatest tool of war is not a machine or a weapon, a physical weapon. It is our words. It is our emotions, the way we conduct ourselves. So we can bring war or something equivalent to it anywhere we go. So what does it mean to be a good father? A good father will do everything that he can to prevent war or to disrupt a flow of war. So when the Pharisees and Sadducees came to Jesus with the intent to trip Jesus, it was their form of war. And I strongly believe that if you love somebody, you do everything you can not to do that. You try your best in every situation, no matter how angry, because I'm pretty sure Jesus was very upset with them, very disappointed. But in no way, shape, or form did he trip. And you see how he handled that situation. And in that situation, I feel we could rewind to when Jesus was learning, so to speak, how to be a rabbi. You remember when I told you that who ordains you? Is it a person or is it God? Who are you? Are you, when you get on that pulpit to speak in front of people, are you meeting God up there, or are you going up there yourself and doing it all yourself? I'll be right back.
Don't stop it. I will put you in the Jeep, and you and I will sit in the Jeep while Bubby sits with Dad, because Bubby's actually being calm. Last fucking chance.
Give me 1 second. Now, technically, we can let our emotions get the best of us, and we say things that we ought to not. Like what you just heard. We are in no way, shape, or form adults. None of us on this planet are adults. Because every now and then, we will let our emotions get the best of us, and we will be nothing different than a rampant child, and we will do regrettable things. And I must say, the Pharisees and Sadducees that day were in no way, shape, or form any different than how we treat our family members at times, or even ourselves, really. We're no different. And now I'm not suggesting that you see my way when it comes to Jesus or the Father or the Holy Spirit. I don't care if you believe in Jesus Christ. I actually do, but I'm not going to shove it down your throat. You believe what you believe. That is one of the things I strongly see in Jesus. He wants us to come to him, but he also doesn't take away our choice. He wants you to choose. If you don't choose, that's up to you. Granted, there are consequences, but that is you. Like I said, you can believe or you don't believe. I don't care. I'm not the judge. I'm just here to offer some ideal insight or wisdom or open-minded perspective. Because I see things a certain way, and I feel like every time I talk about things like that in certain ways, people see the wisdom, people see the knowledge or the insight. I don't follow everything I talk about, okay? I am a broken person. Like, bar none, I will tell you flat out, there are times I lie, and technically there are times that I steal. And there are many ways a person can steal without actually going physically and taking something. Because you can take somebody's joy. It's just as equal. You can steal somebody's joy away. It's no different than ordinary theft. You can tell somebody to their face that you love them, and beknownst to you, you have no desire to give them that such love. So it's not there. It's fake. It's a lie. Yeah, it's a lie. So in no way, shape, or form am I perfect. I can't be perfect, okay? But I will let you know that in order to be a good dad or a good father, the best thing that you can be is inspirational to a better ideal understanding of what's right and what's wrong, and try to keep your patience with certain situations where you think things should happen a certain way, and if they are not, then try to work with it, because in no way, shape, or form is a family like a business. You're trying to prepare. Your goal is to prepare a way for the next generation. Not tell it how to live. Not demand certain things, beliefs or whatever. Because Jesus never once took the decisions of his disciples. He never took the decisions of the Pharisees and Sadducees. They did what they wanted to do, and they suffered consequences eventually, even Peter. But what he did do was he always gave an open invitation. He always gave opportunity. He was always there to show and share insight, never to control the choice. It's never about controlling choice. It's just preparing, guiding, advising, that sort of thing. You are the head of wisdom that receives from God, and you distribute. So anything that hits your family technically hits you first, because you're the head of the family, right? And so anytime somebody just like totally insults you, they insult you. Okay, you can insult me all day, but you insult the rest of the family? Don't do that. No father should insult his family, because who then is left to protect them? Because the one that's supposed to be protecting them is insulting them and treating them like crap. You shouldn't be doing that. It's bar none the worst evil you could have in the house is when you yourself are the one insulting or destroying the relationships. Who's there left to protect them? I mean, would you want somebody else to do that to your family? No, you would punch the lights out. You would have a problem with what you're doing. Think about it. If somebody else came to your family and started treating your family the way you were treating your family, you would have a fit. So likewise, have a fit against yourself? No. Just look at yourself and just say, look, I could do things better. And if they react poorly, it's because they no longer have somebody to stop the nonsense. So they have to step up and to stop the nonsense. But because you have a problem with that, you're just starting a war. You're starting a war and you don't even realize that you're doing it. And if you do it long enough, you get the rebellion, you get the retaliation, you get the brutality of war festering in each one of the members of your household. Even if they don't live with you anymore. Give me a second. Someone wanted to say hello to me. Well, come here. Hey. Rude. So anyway, happy Father's Day to everybody that watches it. And if you're in the military, thank you for your service. I was never in the military. They denied me. They denied my service because I have eye issues and I have a lower nerve issue that they spotted. And they said that I would be a high risk. So they never did allow me to serve. Anywho, but thank you for your service. And for those fathers out there, none of us are better than one another. We need to be there, support one another, band together, enjoy each other's families. Help each other enjoy our families so that the next generation is raised to be true men and women and to understand the true values of life, not a contorted,
Don't spill it now.
contorted, we gotta help raise our children. We raise our children to be knowledgeable of right and wrong by understanding what is right and wrong. If we just let them do what they want to do, we're treating ourselves to a horrific future. And to be entirely honest, we can do that without taking choice. And I strongly believe that our words are more potent than a weapon of mass destruction, for that is exactly what our mouth is. Our mouth bleeds what is inside our hearts. If anybody tells you to follow your heart, they're a moron. The heart must be no different treated no different than the mouth. It needs to be on a leash, and it needs to be guided properly. It needs to be maintained, much like a lovely engine or a machine. Hey, you want to come over here? Hey, rude. She's like, hi, bye. As a father, we are not to dictate the future. By doing so, we operate on a level that is disruptively different than the entire universe. The entire universe flows in a consistent system and does not step away from it, does not separate from that system. And if you hear coughing in the background, that's just my little girl. She likes to get attention that way. She's not actually coughing. Don't worry about it. She's fine. Our family is our flowers. We need to tend to them. Prune them, sure, but not dictate. We need to let them grow in the way they are supposed to grow. We cannot tell them what color they should be, but a flower, a rose is a rose, and a daisy is a daisy. So, if anything, we should help raise them to understand what they are, not who they are, because they get to choose who they are. And that's fine. Let them choose who they are. But they need to know what they are. At least that. So when we're raising our kids, even if they're no longer a part of the house that we live in, one day they will live their own lives. And they need to look back and say, look, if I learned anything, I learned what I am. And I grew up to learn who I am, because our desires change over time. Our bucket lists change over time. What's demanded of us changes over time. So who we are is always being shaped, but what we are stays the same. We are a man, and we have sons and daughters. And we wouldn't want somebody to beat our daughter, right? We don't want people to steal our children away from us. We want them to grow up and know that, yeah, we each have our difficulties. There are some things that others can do that I cannot do. And there are some things that I can do that others can't do. And every time that happens, I need to be an inspiration to people. Like, if you want to do what I can do, then here you are. This is what I did to get there. Not, you got to do this and this and this. Well, this is what I did to get what I have, or where I have become, or what I've become. So, instead of being envious, learn, watch, pay attention, learn. Instead of covet, go and get something that's exactly like it if you want. But it's always best to go and get it yourself. And that includes joy, peace, patience. Nothing comes easy. Nothing comes immediately. And no matter how many times you're pushed down and pushed away, and everyone thinks it's your fault, which is fine, we are not going to agree with one another all the time. But if we know that we can achieve something and we believe we know how to get it, then we we need to chase it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We fail. At least we tried. But if you don't try, then you will always miss the target. One thing I don't necessarily like about cocky people or prideful people, because I don't really understand them, honestly. I'm like, you achieved a great deal, but if you think for 1 second that it's all because of you, you have failed, and you will never inspire anybody else aside from people that are exactly like yourself, or very similar, rather. But you're not going to inspire the right people. And what I mean by that is, if you yourself are toxic and you continue to be toxic, the inspiration that you give will also be toxic. And if you see any results, good or bad, you will react in that toxicity. And the fact that you don't see that you're toxic will just make things worse. I work with some people, honestly, in varieties of work, rather, and they see themselves so high, like they've achieved so much, and only they are deserving of the praise or the rewards that they seek. And every time their employers give them what they ask for, they get more cocky, they get more prideful, and they just they soak it up. And then they just slap it in people's faces. They treat people like horrible. And they're blind. They don't see themselves for what they truly are inside. So as long as we keep our eyes open, we'll be able to inspire our children to be better. Treat our wives with respect, because they are where the future lies. I mean, we're where the future lies. We guide it, we protect it, but they nurture it. They are our partners. They help us nurture. They help us lead by, we're the head of the house. We make the decision, right? Well, yes and no. We lay out what we believe should happen. Let's say the whole entire house says, I don't think we should do that. I don't want to do that. Then that means you're walking alone. So if you go and do something that's without the desires of your spouse, it's not going to look good. It's not going to turn out well. In fact, eventually, you're just going to end up getting a divorce because you're not on the same page. You're trying to run a family on your own, essentially. And that's not how being a dad is. Being a dad is to work with your wife, because teamwork is exactly what a father should imbue in their children. Teamwork. And what teamwork is patience, communication, and a clear, definitive understanding between all parties. And to walk in equal likeness. That means just because we're not doing things the way I want to do them, as long as we're on the same page and we're doing the same thing, we will get the best of that result. Now, granted, if we just did it this way, and then we would have had the result that we were all looking for, I just know it. Don't fall into that toxic trap. That's exactly what Lucifer did to Adam and Eve. Toxic trap. Don't do it. Just don't do it. If you follow the words of Star Wars, just don't do it. Do the opposite, okay? Don't do it. Baby girl, if you're trying to give me something and then you just turn tail and then trip, I apologize, but you kind of asked for it. You should have just given it to me and walked away. She would have got it right back anyway. The whole purpose of being a father is to hoard your family into one decision and then get everybody on the same page. So you are a leader as much as a inspiration. You can teach anybody how to fish, but if they don't want to fish, but they do want to go hunt deer with a bow and arrow, by all means. Fishing is just not their thing. That means your interest in fishing does not cross into their realm of desires. They can still go and fetch food for the family by doing the hunting the deer. So clearly they are not you, which means your choices are not their choices, or vice versa. But that doesn't mean that each member of the family can't contribute to a very specific angle or perspective or direction. So in terms of being a chain, we have links in a chain, okay? Not one of those links are going to be the same. They look like they do the exact same thing to provide the chain to be a chain. But in reality, they have different imperfections, which is one of the definitive differences to each link in a chain. So if, as a father and a leader, you are just simply to ensure that each link provides at the best of potential, you're not supposed to tell them what to do or how to do it, but rather prepare them for the best way you can. Because the more you tell your children what to do, I'd hate to say it like this because I disagree too, but because I tell my kids, please stop doing that, go do this instead, so I understand. But the more you do that, guess what? They don't do it. They instead do the opposite. So what's the purpose of trying to get your kids to do something? Give me 1 second. My daughter got a hold of a water bottle, empty water bottle. She was crinkling it, making loud noises, distracting. So he took care of it. She's still in the playpen, so making noise is inevitable. The whole purpose of being a dad is to guide, is to instruct, to advise, to lead, but not dictate. Not get angry or frustrated or lose your cool because of a disagreement. You're the head of the house. You make all the choices. You're the one that provides the roof over the house. You're the one that provides all the food. You're the one that provides all the gifts and the benefits to the family so that they can have a better life. Why shouldn't you have the authority to make the choices and decisions for the family? And I absolutely understand and get it. I do. Respectively, in accordance to the Bible, that is the human perspective. That's why it's understandable, but that doesn't make it right. It is solely understood that each member, when available, contributes to the ongoing structure and systematic survival of the family, should be guided and supported where all possible. I am so distracted by that kid. Seriously, she is bashing every toy possible. Crazy. It's not that we cannot have a choice of our own, but when you're leading a family, when you're raising a family, you need to realize that the more you dictate your choices, the less value your place as a father will be, because your children will want to step away and no longer be a part of it, because there's too much, like, they disagreed with how you wanted to do things, but you went and did it yourself anyway, and so, like, they aren't really a part of the team. They are there just to serve you and your desires, and that means that eventually they feel like a number, and if they feel like a number, they want out. That's why a family is so definitively different than a business. In a business, you can do that because you're the boss, and that's something that a businessman wouldn't understand. A businessman is, you're the head of the house. You make the choices. Everybody's got to live with it, and if they don't, they can just. Shh. But the thing about being a father is different. You can't run a family like a business. However, you inspire. You state, this is why we're doing it this way. This is why I would like to do it this way. This is why I've come to all my conclusions. And you can shove your resume in your family's face all the time if you want. It's an insult. It's a disgrace. But when it comes to family, it's no different than the kingdom of God. You are not God. We are all children. We are all feeble, one breath individuals that we come and go in the span of a breath. Like, one day for God is like 1,000 for us. I mean, it's a figure of speech. But the reality is the will of God needs to be beyond you. So if God's will is more important, then that means that the words out of your mouth need to project God, not you. So in terms of family, likewise, you're not there to dictate. You're not there to judge. As a father, you are just simply there to inspire, to instruct, to advise, to impart wisdom, to be there to protect, to be there to provide what you can provide. Not say, hey, I provide all of this. I've got the right to be a douche. I've got the right to choose for the family. I choose what we do as a family. It's very toxic. Very toxic. Because eventually your kids don't want anything to do with you, and then eventually there's too much pain, and life is out of control, and you're like, well, what did I do? The toxicity is real. It's very blinding. It doesn't just blind your mentality. It blinds you all, everywhere. Everything is blind. And then you become very ragey, very broken. Like, it's one thing to say sorry all the time and then do it again. Say sorry, do it again. Say sorry, do it again. But one of these days you're gonna have to look back and say, I mean, was there really anything different I could have done? Well, yeah, there's always something better you could have done. That's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is to become better than you were yesterday. And as a father, that is imperative. We always have to become better than we were yesterday so that we can always consistently become inspirational to our kids to do the same, so that they grow better every day. The whole purpose of being a father is to be inspirational to our kids, to inspire them to be better than they were yesterday, because that's all that we want for them. Sure, we work our butts off to provide for them, and we've done so for years, right? And we've tried our best to impart wisdom, but it doesn't seem like they want to listen. you remember those times when we kept telling our kids, don't lie, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. And yet, we tell them that Santa Claus is real. I have been condemned and judged for believing in Jesus Christ by someone who literally tells their kids fervently that if they don't obey them, they're not getting presents from Santa Claus. I'm like, are you for real? Are you for real? Like, I didn't judge the person because clearly I don't believe in judging other people, but geez, really? Like, you're gonna shun me for trying to follow something that at least would end up making me morally better as a person if I followed through with what's being spoken in the Bible, wisdom-wise and intelligence-wise. But really, like, you're going to tell me that you're lying to your children and then eventually one day you're going to be upset with them for lying to you? And we do the same thing with stealing. Like I said before, there's different ways of stealing. You can steal a person's joy by being bitter. And that's one of the things that the Bible is. It tells us to watch our behavior, watch how we say things. If somebody slaps us on the cheek, turn the other cheek, let them slap the other side. And the other parts in Psalms, it literally states, do not stand in the way of the wicked, because they don't care. The wicked people don't care. It's like they're going to do what they want to do anyway. Just let them do it. Literally. And it backs up the fact that we're not supposed to judge one another. It's like, if you want to go do something stupid, you go do something stupid. I mean, we literally have a breath-long life. We don't live very long anyway. The only thing that is commanded of us in the end is to believe that Jesus came down to earth in the form of a man, which is funny because of how I just said that, but he really just took the place of the sacrificial lamb to cover the sins, all of our sins, with his blood, because his blood is eternal. So that's really the only thing he wants, is for the people that he made. Let's make man in our image. He just wants us to come back to him and to be a part of the kingdom that we were originally a part of, to not be separated anymore from the person that made us. Bottom line, that's all it is. That's all it's about. And as far as commandments go, is what they essentially do is they tell us these are the things that he doesn't want us to do, because bottom line, it actually separates us from him. But that, aside from that, it just tells us that we're broken, that we will lie to one another, we will steal each other's joy every now and then, we will kill each other emotionally, as well as in our minds, and even physically. We will desire what that other person wants, our brother wants. I mean, look at Cain and Abel. It's been going on since the first of the days, before, I'm pretty sure that even the animal kingdom would agree they have covet issues. It's territorial. It's nothing new. Like, it's been going on for ever. Like, there's nothing new. And not to have any other gods before him, I mean, seriously, come on. Like I said, title. The title is literally that. He just wants to be the head of the house that he created. Let us make man in our image. He's the head of the house. He just wants his family back, to be one community. It's not going to happen, but he wants it. And he never dictates. Oh, that's right. I was going to say something. I have heard many different people, or rather, many different times, I've heard people say, well, if God was so loving, why would he place a flood that kills most all existence? I got two things for you. First off, the debauchery that was going on, we didn't have the science that we have today. Now, granted, all things, like, let's say we wanted to build a computer back in that day. Yeah, we would have been able to build a computer back in that day if we knew how to do it, right? Well, we didn't have anybody that knew how to examine, like what we have today as a doctor, to see if somebody has HIV or any other STDs, okay? So if we were too much into our physical pleasures back in that day, and we were just going around just banging everybody around, okay, then that would destroy humanity's future. No different than the Black Plague. If something is left unchecked as a curse or a plague or something like that, an infection, it will kill everything that's there. It will kill until there's nothing left to destroy. So, if God did love us, and he does, he'd have to get rid of the infection. And in his way, yeah, he could have been like, well, I'll just wipe the infection off. But that wouldn't actually do anything, because we would just continue to recreate that problem over and over again. And the only real way to get rid of it permanently, or at least for the most part, for the many ages to come, is to wipe out all of that. So that's why. And technically, all other life forms took a hit. Like, everybody was wiped on the brink of genocide. Everything. Like, all the animals, all the marine life, all the aerial life, humans, all to the brink of extinction because of us and what we were doing back in those days. So, essentially, he saved the human race. And he told the human race how to save everything else, bring it back from extinction or brink of extinction, and told us to do so because of our choices. We were responsible, and he literally technically took all of our toys away, essentially. Like, we take our children's toys away, and he told us we work to get it all back. So if we want the animals to come back, if we want the marine life to come back, if we want the aerial life to come back, or anything else, we were going to have to work for it. Then there is the story of Esther. You'd think God was heartless. Alright. So Esther is where, unlike the story of Samson or Moses, where God is technically present. Technically. In the story of Esther, I don't think God was all that present. Like, in the written portion, he wasn't present. It was his, Esther's father raised Esther, right? She's faking it, don't worry about it. She didn't actually have a problem, she just likes the attention. But Esther was raised by, I forgot his name. Anyway, so Esther's dad raises her to be modest, respectful, understanding, knowledgeable about cultural history, and knowledgeable about what life is around her currently, okay? And technically, the Israelites were once again under slavery. They technically were slaves. Technically. And the reason I keep saying it like that is because the king that they were under actually loved and appreciated, had a heart for the Israelites. The general did not. The general wanted to just genocide the Israelites, and that's exactly what this story is all about, is to prevent genocide, because there's nothing technically wrong to promote genocide. So Esther gets involved because of her dad, but gets involved in this a lot. Lot check. The kingdom was holding this kind of lottery sort of thing, and if you provided a pleasing enough aura and physical beauty, then you would be awarded that lottery, and that lottery would be to serve the king firsthand, as to be queen, pretty much. And she involved herself and became that she wanted, right? And just in time, though, too, because apparently the general decided to bring up a certain notion. He's like more or less trying to convince the king that the Israelites were going to try and rebel and cause war from within, and trying to get the king's approval to off with their heads while building said guillotine. Well, the king eventually discovers that the general is insane, and the Israelites weren't doing anything wrong, and they were fulfilling their place, and the general was about to kill off a beloved people. Now, people beloved to the king, mind you. The king actually did appreciate the Jews, even despite the fact that they were slaves to the kingdom. I know it's weird, but technically that's accurate. The king actually did have a heart for the Jewish people. So much so that he approached, just in time, the situation and reversed the general. And the guillotine was used on the general and then was disassembled, and peace returned to the kingdom. So, and God did not truly intervene. Now, I'll tell you a different story where God did intervene, and that was the worship of Baal. The worshipers of Baal were so devout, so radical, that when approached by someone who followed God, stated, here are 2 fires, okay, and here are 2 calves or cows, and we're going to offer them as a sacrifice, right? Now you do your thing over here to this cow and this fire, and I do my own. I burn a burnt offering to my God, and you burn a burnt offering to your God. And what they did was they started cutting their wrists, and they started throwing stuff and throwing themselves in the fire with the sacrifice, if I'm not mistaken, and nothing happened. They were just killing themselves. Great revelation for that first chapter of Psalms, where it says, it says like pretty much, don't stand in the way of the wicked. Yeah, don't stand in the way of the wicked. Stupid handles itself, right? Anyway, so the other one, which was, if I'm not mistaken, Elijah, offered it, and rain came about to present put the fire out. Okay, so God came and intervened, and it was fulfilled. The situation was filled appropriately, while stupid people were killing themselves over something that didn't exist. That's the story. So, now am I saying all of this so that you'll believe in God? No, I'm not doing that, actually. It's not my goal. My goal is if you believe in something and it always turns out for you, it is more than likely possible that you're doing it correctly. But if you're constantly not doing it correctly, but you think that you are, you're no different than the worshipers of Baal, or the general that tried to off with the heads of the Israelites. You're just no different than they are. You're looking at it all wrong. And if you just simply look at this situation with your head on straight, the best perspective, maybe one of these days your family will finally see the dad that you wanted to be, the father that you actually intended on being. Because sometimes we get it all wrong. We get it all twisted about what it means to be a father. What it means to be a father is to be inspirational, to be protective, to be knowledgeable and wisdom giving, to advise, to instruct, not to dictate. That's God's job, to lay judgment or to situate better choices or whatever. So if you want to follow the best choice, then by all means you can follow his choice. Now I only say it like that, again, not to say, hey, come follow Jesus with me. Yeah, I would like to say that, I would like you to do that, but I'm not going to tell you to do that because your choice is your own. But in my experience, as long as I have done things the way he has done them in his demonstrations, such as how he handled the Pharisees and Sadducees with the adulteress, didn't lose his temper, and everybody walked away way better than they should have, or could have rather, I think things work out for the best. They don't always work out the way we want them to, but they always work out the best way, and I should be happy with that at least. And I feel that the more it happens that way, the more satisfied that we'll be, despite the fact that it's not turning out the way we would want it to. So, oh, and by the way, just so you know, it is okay to be a nerd and be a Christian. Why can't Christians be nerds and why can't nerds be Christians? Christian, it just means to be a Christ follower. Follow Jesus the best you can, live life the best you can, the way Jesus would, not James. and try to become better every day. Don't judge. Never judge. Never stick yourself before somebody else. Always inspire. Always instruct. Sure. With wisdom and understanding. Not with pride. Not with retaliation. Do not let yourself stand in the way of good wisdom or instruction or inspiration. Be there, even if it's just as a worker, a co-worker. It's always best for anybody to be there to instruct or to impart wisdom, to learn, to listen. It's not easy to learn, it's not easy to listen, it's not easy to not speak your mind. But sometimes the best thing to do is to be patient, either with yourself or others. Roads are not built overnight, and neither are bridges, but they can be destroyed overnight. So if you're not patient, and you're not willing to look at a situation properly, you yourself will destroy those bridges and roads very quickly. And you'll be like, well, I don't know what your problem was. If you just did it this way, then it'll all work out. I don't know. Maybe. But toxicity is not the way to go. Just know we're not righteous in any way, shape, or form. None of us are better than the other. But I feel that life would be better if we would stop being so toxic with one another and just try our best to be a bit more understanding on maybe suggestively instructing other people things of what we've already done in the past. Like, communication's a big thing. So if you tell someone that actually happens randomly, The light has a thing of its own. It's very funny. Anyway, any position in life. Yes, it came on randomly. During any position in life, communication, patience, inspire, don't tear down, no dictation, just inspire, and speak personal experience and wisdom, not pride, not I've got all this accomplishment, I'm the guy for the job. That's if you're trying for an interview, okay? Not if you're trying to inspire people to become better at something. You're not there to force something into existence. You're there just to patiently inspire a better future. Including if it is at least to yourself. Anyway, happy Father's Day to all of you. And God bless. Love you all.